Trina here from Scrappy Horses. Welcome to my YouTube channel. I am so happy you're here today. I am working on a bag and a little tag for some sugar scrub. We have a challenge going on over at Anything Goes in a card-free zone, and the challenge is to go spring organizing, spring decorating, spring cleaning. So I thought, well, what would be more fun than spring cleaning? I'm making some sugar scrub for cleaning skin. And I wanted to make a pretty little bag to put it in, as sort of a gift. And this might inspire you to do something like this maybe for Mother's Day, or maybe some other spring gift you might want to give. I have decided to go with a small bag, and the bag is made from papers that are from ScrappyPapers. And they are the prize over at Anything Goes in a card-free zone. So there's another incentive to come join in our challenge. Now, the next thing I want to say is I am not going to share the sugar scrub recipe I used. There are several out there, but I will give you a link to the Farm Girls Handmade Sugar Scrubs Maker's Guide. You might want to check her out, but I'm not going to recommend a specific recipe. There are lots of them online, but she had a wonderful tutorial on one of the craft summits, and she's the one who inspired me to give this a try. So you might want to check out her site and see what she has to share on the topic. All right, so I usually start in Cricut Design Space, but this time we're going to start at the craft table and then move on over to the Cricut Design Space and then back to the craft table. So here we are starting at the craft table. As you can see, I'm just loosely measuring this jar, just the top and the sides. And I came in with 4 inches tall and 3.5 inches wide. When we get over into Cricut Design Space, we're going to change this just a little bit, but these are going to be our starting measurements to sort of kick things off. Okay, so here we are in Cricut Design Space, and I have represented here on the screen the different cuts we're going to use, as well as a 12 by 12 sheet of designer paper, and I have my jar here represented. All right, so this jar measures 3.5 by 4. All right, we just measured that and I showed you how that worked. So now I can bring this up and see that it is going to fit here in this height. It's going to be perfect. However, and I made this mistake, and that's how I know to tell you, the width of the bag needs to also be 4 for this to fit comfortably. So we're going to have to alter this bag a little bit because this is not a square bag, but I'm going to show you how to do that. I also have a tag, and we'll bump this up so you can see this. We've got our sugar scrub tag. I've got this frame. It's very big. It's from Close to My Heart Artiste. This circle is just, again, just a place marker here for this piece so I can see that that's going to fit. And this piece is going on top of the jar. All right, so let's make this smaller again, and let's talk about how we're going to alter this bag and make it work. All right, so I brought this in as sort of a ruler for us to use. It's 4 1/4 wide. You can see right here, 4 1/4. And I want to go ahead and match up this middle section to also be 4 1/4. Well, if we bring this bag over the size it is, which we know is not big enough, I'm going to bring that to the front. You can see that that's not going to fit on a piece of 12 by 12 inch paper. So this is not going to work for us, but we can make it work. And that's what I want to show you. And the first thing I want to do is I'm going to get rid of my score lines, right? So I'm going to come over here to this right-hand column down to the very bottom, and I'm going to click Detach. That's going to detach one of them. I'm going to come back and click this, and I'm going to detach the vertical lines. Again, I can save these, but I only need to save 2 of them. So I'm going to delete those, and I'll just move these right up here. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to chop this bag in half. So I'm going to come in and get a shape, just a square. And I do that just by left-clicking shapes, left-clicking the square, and then this little caret or this little triangle, I can left-click that and it will go away. I'm going to line this up right at the edge here of this handle. And it's going to come down right down the middle of this V right here where we're going to fold, where that fold line was. I'm going to make sure it's big enough to go over this. And I want to chop away this side. All right, so I'm going to select them both and slice. Now I can pull this away, and I can pull away this and this. I'm going to go ahead and I can just trash all of this. Next, I'm going to take this other square that I brought in, bring it to the front, and I'm going to put it right next to this one. This side of this handle, I should say. Right down through the middle of this V. I'm going to extend it out, and again, I'm going to slice. Now, I'm going to take this piece. Let's go ahead and pull this away. I'm going to take this piece right here, and I'm going to extend it until my width gets to 4.25. Now I'm just looking right there, and it says right here 4.25. So all I had to do was just press down, and I can just drag this across. I'm doing this with my mouse until it gets to 4.25. Now I'm going to select all of this, and I'm going to combine it, which is over here on your right hand side. When you left click, then the weld will be an option, and now this is welded together. Now I'm going to come in and I'm going to put these back in. Then I'm going to bring in this one that we saved. I'm going to put it right across there. I'm going to shorten it. Select all of that and attach. Okay. Now that this is still selected, I'm going to hit my Command C, Command V, which will copy this. And now what I can do is put these together, and now I'm going to get a gift box large enough because I easily can get this onto my 12 by 12 paper, and then I'll print 2 pieces of 12 by 12 paper, and here will be my second one. Okay, so print 2 pieces of this paper, then you'll cut one part of the bag on one piece and the other part on the other piece of paper. So it'll look like this. So next thing, we're going to go ahead and bring in the tags from the ScrappyPapers kit. And I'm going to just bring this right over, put it right here. I'm going to hit upload, upload image, bring that in. I'll say continue, apply and continue. I want a flat graphic, continue. And over here you can type in your image name. This happens to be my ScrappyPapers Vintage Lace. It's a tag and it's watermarked. That's what the W stands for. And then I can put tags in here. What I usually do is just do a Command C, Command V, and then I put commas in here. And then I know that I can just pull up any of those words and it will find it. And then I can add it to any collection down here I like. Right, so I'm going to say upload and it will bring it in. Right, so that's how I brought it in. And I brought this piece right here in the same way. All right, now what I did here is I simply took my tag. I'm going to ungroup this. And all I did is I selected it, came up to the top, came to offset, pulled it down, and if you don't get it as small as you like, you can always move it with your arrows, but I think 0.056 is good. Hit apply, and there it is. I'm ready. On this little piece, and this is my jar topper, I again pulled in the little circle here that's in the kit. I did an offset, apply, there it is. Then I brought in this piece from Close to My Heart Artiste, this frame. I sized it down to fit, and I cut a circle out of it. When it came in, the circle was not cut. So I actually cut the circle out. Whoops, not this one. This one actually, it was all filled in. So I just sliced a circle out, and you will see that when I get back to the craft table. And then later I could just glue all this into place, and it went on top of the lid. I think this covers everything we did in Cricut Design Space. The main part I wanted to show you was how I altered this bag to fit. And again, when you mark something, like I marked it on the paper bag and measured it, always give yourself a little bit of extra room, more than you think you're going to need. You can always fill it out with a little bit of tissue paper or something. Always better to have your bag a little bit too big than too small. Also, remember to take into account your width as well as how large it is across the front. So your depth needs to be enough to handle your three-dimensional object. Okay, enough said on that. Let's go assemble all of this and see what this gift bag is going to look like in the end. So here we are back at the craft table, and I've assembled a few things, and you're going to see me add even more things. The bag you're going to see me assemble is actually a rectangular shaped bag and not a square shaped bag, which is what I wish I would have done. So I have all the little pieces I've cut on the Cricut. I did not use the lace. I have some rulers there and a pencil, and here are my two pieces that I cut from my designer paper. I've pulled my scoreboard and a scoring tool, and I'm going to carefully score along my score lines. The score lines, the Cricut put them in, however, I like them a little deeper. I think it gives me a crisper fold, and when I'm working with bags and 3D items, I like a really crisp, deep fold. I feel like it's easier to assemble. All right, I'm going to come in with some double score tape. Again, I like to use double score tape on these 3D projects because I want it to really hold. However, I never get things lined up straight the first time. So I put a little fabric tack on there, and that gives me wiggle room. It'll stick and stay, but I can move it if I need to. I'm going to square up that bottom, and again, use a little bit of double score tape and a little bit of fabric tack, and then I'm going to hold that in place for a second. Then I'm going to come in with some double layer cereal box, And I'm going to put a little fabric tack on that and just put that in the bottom because my sugar scrub might be a little heavy. Now I put this in and I just used a little bit of fabric tack there, and I'll be, if when I didn't put it over in my ice cream lid, it slid on me. So I'll show you how we fix that later. So now I have this burlap ribbon I've decided to use. I'm going to wrap it all the way around, and then I'm going to wrap it around further all the way around the far end of the back. I'm going to cut it in half. I'm also going to put in a basting stitch. I put the basting stitch in with a dark thread. I thought it would look kind of fun. And if you've not basted, those are just long running stitches. And that way I can use those basting stitches to just sort of ruffle up my burlap. All right, I've also cut it in half. You saw me cut it, and now I'm measuring my bag, and I will lay out my tape measure here, and then I'll kind of get an idea of how long I want this and how much ruffle I actually want in the burlap. Now, some of the ruffling you're going to do after you put the tape on the box and you actually start taping it in, and that's going to hold your ruffle in place. So don't get too, caught up in putting the ruffle in here, because you're actually going to do it when you get it on the box, so you get it just the right amount of ruffle. I didn't want a lot of ruffle, just enough. So here we're putting this very thin double score tape around the top of the box, and this is going to go all the way around the box. Once you have that tape on, now is when we're going to go ahead, and the part where the basting thread is, that part right there is going to go right over that tape, and that's going to hold your ruffling into place. All right, next we're going to come in, and I wanted to make this silver key gold. So I came in with some white Liquitex, and I just dabbed over the key, and I let it dry, and then I dabbed over a little bit with some gold. And basically I didn't want it super shiny, I didn't think. But then after I grunged that one up, I decided, I want something a little different. So I chose this other key, and I went really gold and then hit it with some ultra fine glitter so that it would be really shiny, so it would show up on top of my floral cluster. I was going to go with a button and then change my mind. So I put together my floral cluster, and I wrapped it 2 times with some seam binding on the bottom, used a little bit of glue from a glue gun, and then cut that away, and then tied just some brown twine. It's a very thin twine, and tied my key into place over the bouquet. I added just a little dab of my glue gun to the bottom of the key over the bottom of the key once I got it in place. I'm adding that glue gun glue onto the flowers and the bottom of this little bouquet, and then I'm just going to glue it right onto the box. At this point, I hit the bottom of that key with a little more glue onto the bouquet. Now I'm just going to ink up this frame a little bit, and here's where I'm going to show you how I fixed my tag that got wonky. I just cut another piece, and I just put this on a little bit wonky, and that fixed that problem. I'm going to hole punch it, going to stick in a little metal ring, jewelry ring, and now that's ready to tie on. Now here we are with the circle part that I needed to fix. I just took the circle that I actually sliced out and glued it all together from the front to the back. So that's why I said on the Cricut you wouldn't need to slice out that circle. There's the jar topper. I'm going to go ahead and just take some kitchen string, tie a bow, and now we've got our little tag onto our sugar scrub. All right, this is all complete now. We have the sugar scrub, and we've got our little jar topper and a little tag, and we've got our bag. I'm going to link all the information you need in the bottom, down in the description, Any comments or questions, hey, leave them below. I'm happy to get back with you. Thanks so much for joining me. I so appreciate your time. Have a wonderful week. Bye.